connecting neighborhoods across the Treasure and Magic Valleys, telling stories from within our communities. This is Good Morning Idaho.
Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Idaho on a Friday. TGIF, we made it to the end of the week. I'm senior reporter Roland Barris, and we are coming to you live this morning from Albertson Stadium just outside, ahead of your Boise State Broncos home opener against Eastern Washington, the team of the red turf, the only other team, I guess, in major football in this country that has colored turf like Boise State. There's their equipment truck behind us. It's going to be a big day as the opener for the Boise State Broncos here at home. Coming up later on tonight, we'll have all that you need to know if you're coming to the game tonight. Plus, we've got lots to get to from our large team of neighborhood reporters, bringing you more local stories than anyone else this morning in our market, like our Canyon County neighborhood reporter, Victoria Rodriguez, who brings us new details in the trial against a Nampa priest who was charged with sexually abusing a minor. Also coming up at 5:30, our Nampa neighborhood reporter highlights the pickleball noise problem and solutions that city leaders in Nampa and Meridian have found to mitigate the sound. Puck, puck, puck. That's the noise that it makes. We'll get to those stories coming up in just a moment. First, let's get the latest on our weather with Sophia Cruz. Do you play any pickleball?
I do. I love pickleball, so I don't mind the noise personally. And I feel like if you mind the noise, maybe just turn up the TV a little bit. I don't know, or just, maybe go to a different room in your house. Either way, if you maybe are planning to play some pickleball today or head out to the game, it is going to be a pretty hot day ahead of us. On top of that, we'll be looking at some isolated showers, a lot of it being a lot weaker. It's not really going to affect our days, but you'll notice it's mainly down to our bordering states. And as you make your way over into Burns and further into Oregon, change the page to Saturday, and that's when we start to see some of these rain chances increase heavily over and really just south of the Twin Falls area, but moving up towards our mountains between 40 to 30%. That just goes to show you we are looking at changes for the weekend. For the start of the day, though, hot and hazy with lower 80s into lunchtime. Roland.
Yeah, thanks, Sophia. Appreciate it. I'll tell you what, out here it's dark out, and even with the lights in the parking lot, that's the only place you can really tell that there's a lot of smoke. But from that, you can see it's going to be a smoky day this morning. We start this morning in the news with details on another sexual abuse trial, this one against former Caldwell cop Ryan Bendewald. Our Don Nelson reports from the federal courthouse.
I'm senior reporter Don Nelson at the federal courthouse in Boise, where opening arguments began this morning in the sexual abuse trial against former Caldwell Police Department Sergeant Ryan Bendewald. To say the prosecution's statements were graphic would be an understatement, and Bendewald maintains he did nothing wrong. In a packed courtroom on Thursday, the jury sat and listened to the prosecution paint a picture of a bad cop. Ryan Bendewald was indicted in 2023 following a federal investigation. Prosecutors allege that between 2017 and 2021, he used his role as a Caldwell police officer to sexually abuse at least 7 women, though 2 of those charges were dropped. The prosecution described in graphic detail how Bendewald sexually assaulted the women and how those victims felt powerless. The defense says the government's allegations are fatally flawed. They painted a picture of a good cop who's put many drug dealers and gang members in jail. It was very clear the defense was going after the credibility of the women, specifically about their memory of the alleged encounters. The defense simply stated the government's allegations are a mirage, going as far to say the women are all criminal, with some having felony charges against them. 5 witnesses, including 3 women who claimed they were sexually violated by Bendewald, testified on Thursday, day 1 of the trial, along with one of the women's mother. One interesting note. Since 2 of the victims are currently incarcerated, the jury was removed from the courtroom as they entered and exited in handcuffs. They never saw that. The trial is expected to last up to 3 weeks. Reporting from the federal courthouse in Boise, I'm senior reporter Don Nelson, Idaho News 6.
A teen driver is dead after police say he slammed into an oncoming car while trying to pass. The crash happening early Thursday morning on Cunamora Road, just west of Cole Road. Police say a preliminary investigation suggests the 19-year-old was headed eastbound in an older Honda Accord when he pulled into the westbound lane and collided with an SUV before hitting a third vehicle. The young man died at the scene. The 3 people in the other 2 cars received treatment for minor injuries at the hospital. If you witnessed the crash or have any information, call dispatch.
New details in the case of a Nampa priest charged with sexually abusing a minor. Idaho News 6 has obtained the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of 45-year-old Robert Mendez Esquivel, also well known as Father Toto Mendez. We won't share the specifics here, but it does lay out some new information. In the PCA, the 16-year-old victim in the case is described using she/her pronouns. According to that document, the teen told a counselor at the Nampa Family Justice Center she was using the dating app Grindr to find someone willing to engage in sexual acts with a minor, saying she was upfront about her age. The victim telling investigators Esquivel picked her up at her house but refused to come inside for fear of encountering parents. The victim says Esquivel drove her to the park where she performed a sex act at his request. She tells police he then dropped her back off at home where she felt sick about what happened. Police say they used the victim's description of the suspect and his vehicle to track down Esquivel. With the help of license plate cameras, police obtained a search warrant for Esquivel's home in the church where he works. In the PCA, the detective says in a subsequent interview, Esquivel admitted to picking up the victim and some sexual activity in the park, but denied some of the specifics of the allegations and said he never knew the teen's age. That interview culminated with Esquivel's arrest. He is now charged with sexual battery of a minor aged 16 to 17. His next court appearance is scheduled for September 11th. Reporting in Nampa, I'm your Canyon County neighborhood reporter Victoria Rodriguez for Idaho News 6.
In November, Ketchum voters will decide if they want to completely change the way the city is governed. I'm your neighborhood reporter Joey Martin in Ketchum, learning more about a citizen-led ballot initiative to switch things up here at City Hall.
We are a growing community and we just need to manage it correctly.
A growing opinion from residents of Ketchum. With a failed vote of 43% in 2011, this November, Ketchum is once again asking voters if they want to change the form of government the city operates under.
Would they like to change Ketchum's form of government from a mayor-council form of government to a council-manager form of government?
For over 60 years, Ketchum has maintained the same form of hybrid government with elected council members and a mayor, as well as hired city administrators. Under the new city manager system, council members would still be elected and would maintain all policy-making powers, but instead of a mayor, a nonpartisan city manager would be hired to oversee all administrative duties and daily operations.
We're a complex community being a resort and a little more complex than just a small town. So we're looking for good governance, and we need excellent city officials that are elected, and we need an excellent management team to go with it.
If passed according to Idaho law, the new government would go into effect the first week of January 2026. Reporting in Ketchum, I'm your neighborhood reporter Joey Martin, Idaho News 6.
Idaho's longest parade is taking over this mountain home park this weekend, and the Air Force Appreciation Day Committee is getting everything ready. I'm your mountain home neighborhood reporter Sahana Patel, taking a look at what goes into Saturday's festivities. From custom shirt designs to community events all week long. The neighbors in Mountain Home are building excitement around the 65th annual Air Force Appreciation Day, and the community is coming together to make it happen.
And we start meeting in April of every year, and it takes a village.
In this military town, the celebration hits home, with decades dedicated to appreciating the Air Force.
65 years strong, this means everything. We love to support our military personnel. We love to celebrate them.
The main event, Idaho's longest parade, kicks off Saturday morning at 10:30, with more than 100 entries lined up to roll. And a free barbecue serving up nearly 3,000 meals starting at noon.
One thing you need to bring with you is your appetite.
On Friday, a corn shucking competition will take place here at Carl Miller Park at 6 p.m. I'm your Mountain Home neighborhood reporter Sahana Patel for Idaho News 6.
After the break, details on the fiery Senate hearing where lawmakers on both sides of the aisle grilled RFK Jr. over dangerous and unscientific vaccine policies.
All right, it's game day, and our neighborhood of the day is Boise State, where this afternoon and at kickoff, 89. So it's going to be pretty hot and hazy. I'll show you the rest of the weekend ahead coming up.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sophia. It is 10 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at your national headlines this morning. The monthly jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is set to be released today and is the first since the former BLS chief was fired. The president accused her of worsening the previous jobs numbers for political reasons, but provided no evidence of that. The commissioner termination puts a spotlight, of course, on the Bureau's credibility, and the report's release comes on the heels of some not so great economic news, with first-time unemployment claims reaching an 11-week high. The State Department has issued sanctions against 3 Palestinian human rights groups. The impacted NGOs are Al-Haq, Al-Mizan Center for Human Rights, and the Palestinian Center for Human Rights. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the groups have engaged in the illegitimate targeting of Israel. That comes after they asked the International Criminal Court to investigate and arrest Israeli leaders. The ICC issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the country's former defense minister. And President Trump expected to sign an executive order today to rename the Pentagon. According to a White House official, the Defense Department will be changed to the Department of War. The announcement comes after Trump said recently that his administration planned to change the name. And this morning, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is under fire from lawmakers in both parties over his handling of the nation's vaccine policy. Now, this comes nearly a week after the firing of CDC Director Susan Menares. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio is in Washington with the latest.
This morning, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. under fire from both Democrats and Republicans over his controversial vaccine policies and the chaos at the CDC.
Robert Kennedy has elevated conspiracy theorists, crackpots, and grifters to make life or death decisions about the health care of the American people.
2 Republican senators, both doctors who voted to confirm Kennedy, also voicing concern.
And I've grown deeply concerned. Americans don't know who to rely on.
I would say effectively we're denying people vaccine.
Senator Cantwell. You're wrong.
Kennedy, a longtime vaccine skeptic, was also repeatedly pressed on the COVID vaccine and the recent policy change.
Do you think the vaccine did anything to prevent additional deaths?
Again, I would like to see the data and talk about the data.
You have had this job for 8 months, and you don't know the data about whether the vaccine saved lives?
Another major topic, the firing of CDC Director Susan Menares, who Kennedy fired less than a month after her swearing in.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job.
Dr. Menares writing in the Wall Street Journal that she was fired for refusing Kennedy's, quote, troubling directive that she rubber-stamped the unwritten recommendations of a vaccine advisory panel filled with people who have publicly expressed anti-vaccine rhetoric. The president of the American Academy of Pediatrics calling this conflicting information on vaccine guidance unprecedented.
So the undermining of all of the infrastructure and the science is making everybody uncertain. But still, the vast majority of Americans vaccinate their children on schedule. And what they deserve from us is clear recommendations and guidance.
After the hearing, those Republican senators refused to say whether they still have confidence in Secretary Kennedy. President Trump, who says he did not watch the hearing, is standing behind Kennedy. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
In Eagle, part of a long-planned shooting sports project is open, and another range wants city money to make their plan a reality.
15 minutes past the hour. Welcome back on a Friday, everyone. TGIF. I'm live here this morning at Albertson Stadium, where later tonight the Boise State Broncos host Eastern Washington for their home opener. This is a non-conference opponent, but the Broncos, they really need to make a statement here after a tough loss last week to USF on the road. Now, a couple of reminders. If you are coming to the game tonight, parking and traffic, well, it can be pretty tough because Boise Pride and Art in the Park also happening nearby. So you'll want to plan ahead or consider taking the game day shuttle from locations across downtown. Also, the 10 to 10 zone back this year, meaning you can drink alcohol only in a large designated area around the stadium here from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Beverages must be in opaque plastic cups as well. And get this, all concessions in the stadium are now card only, but you can trade cash if you want for a card at special reverse ATMs on site. It's the first I've actually ever heard of that. Entry 1, by the way, is closed right now for construction, so be aware of that. And kickoff is set for 7 p.m. The game will be streaming on Fox Sports. All right, let's get the latest on what the weather's going to be like for the game, and more importantly, I think the smoke, because I can even see the smoke in the darkness this morning, Sophia, and it's affected me. There's no question about it, and that's unusual.
Yeah, the wildfire smoke has continued to build in, especially the way our winds are shifted at the moment. It's kind of just like having a big fan and having to blow a bunch of smoke towards you. Now, we're going to talk about that, but first for this morning, I'm taking you to downtown, where it's a hazy start to our day. Once the sun comes up, you'll notice it more, but you've got lower 70s as you make your way out into downtown. Into this afternoon, we'll expect to see those 90s return, and we're sitting in those mid to lower 90s, so it's not as hot as what we saw on Monday and Tuesday with the triple digits. But if you're in our mountains, you'll continue to see those mid 80s. Now, kickoff tonight, it will be on the toastier end, so heads up, you're going to want to make sure you have the water bottle on hand. It's 89 by 7 o'clock. Into halftime, we'll be touching into those lower 80s, and then maybe you're heading out into downtown after. You've got mid 80s. Okay, so it is still going to be mid 70s, excuse me. It's going to get cooler, but it's going to take a little while to get there. As far as red flag warnings go, we do have this extended over into Eastern Oregon. So if you know anyone in LeGrand, Baker City, out in Burns, or even making your way into Oregon today, that's where we're looking at some critical wildfire conditions within the next day. So heads up on that front. A lot of it is going to be from these isolated showers moving in late this evening. This is by 6 o'clock. So from Bend down to Burns and Rome, isolated showers will move through the area. Eventually, we'll see some move our way too. So this goes across our east and west central mountains into 4 o'clock on Saturday, even moves across eastern Idaho. By the time we head into the back end of the week, you'll notice that there's not really much going on out here. So Sunday will be one of the best days yet. That'll be pretty quiet and calm, but as far as the wildfire smoke goes, that'll continue to really hover over our mountains into the afternoon. By 1 o'clock on Friday, this is when we start to notice that things start to grow even hazier. It continues into 11 o'clock, but if you're in our mountains, this is where it's going to be the heaviest. So McCall, Cascade, and even into Stanley. As we head into tomorrow morning, the light smoke will continue on. So just a heads up on that front, but as you take a look at your 7-day, you've got upper 80s Saturday and Sunday, mid 70s, and a taste of fall arrives Tuesday, Wednesday, and next Thursday.
After years of planning, part of Eagle's Shooting Sports Park is open, and another proposal could see taxpayers' money go to a separate facility. I'm your Eagle neighborhood reporter, Greenlee Clark. Learn about what city leaders say is next for both projects.
So I heard about the range about 2 months ago and started coming out. I like to be out here at least 3 days a week shooting.
The Willow Creek Shooting Sports Park spans 80 acres and was designed as a multi-phase project. So far, the public can only access the archery portion.
Shooting Sports Park and the archery range specifically is open to the public. It's open daily. It's free to use for the public. You can do both static archery and some 3D archery.
City officials say grant funding will bring upgrades next year, including a restroom and an automated gate. In July, the privately run Crowfoot Range, a nonprofit member-based facility being built off Highway 55, asked the city for a $250,000 donation. The request became a key discussion point at the August Future of Shooting Sports open house, which also gave a background on where the city's own shooting sports planning stands.
The discussion really at that open house was, where is the city at, and does the public support the city going forward with a donation to the Crowfoot, or should those funds be used in another way within the community?
A survey on the proposal ran for 2 weeks, and officials expect to present the results to the City Council on September 9th.
Because it is taxpayer dollars, we do make sure that we are providing to our council both those overall participants, but also those people that live within the city of Eagle that are our constituents.
While city leaders consider the funding decision, Willow Creek is already attracting regular users who rely on the range as they prepare for hunting season.
You're not supposed to be practicing in your yards. You're not supposed to be, So this really just helps me get a little more accurate, extends my range a little bit, and gets me a little more confident when the season's coming.
And while the archery ranges are busy, the firearms portion is still paused as the city navigates its next steps. I'm your Eagle neighborhood reporter, Greenlee Clark for Idaho News 6.
In this edition of Idaho Backroads, we take you on the Alice Toxaway Loop in the Sawtooth.
Idaho Back Roads, brought to you by Treasure Valley Subaru.
In this edition of Idaho Backroads, we take you on the most popular loop in the Sawtooth. I'm your Idaho Backroads neighborhood reporter, Steve Dent, and the Alice Toxaway Loop is popular for good reason because it's such a beautiful hike. This is a backpacking adventure that takes you into the ruggedness of the Sawtooth, past cascading waterfalls, and to several pristine alpine lakes. It all starts at Pettit Lake and the Tin Cup Trailhead. The customization of this loop makes this a really unique trip, as hikers can go in either direction. Oh yeah! 5 miles in, we made it to Farley Lake, where Chief did some swimming, and then we continued on to Toxaway Lake, where I set up camp and ate some dinner. After a glorious night and a beautiful morning, we got an early start because the crux of the hike lies ahead. With more than 3,100 feet in elevation gain. One more shot at where we came. But with an early start, yeah, go ahead. We hiked in the shade in cool morning temperatures up to the top of Snowy Side Pass. What do you see? Yeah! The view looking down at Twin Lakes, unbelievable, but it also means it's all downhill from here. We did one night, but you can do as many nights as you want. But one thing has changed. Because of the popularity of the Alice Toxaway Loop, this spring the Sawtooth National Recreation Area started charging $10 per day to park at the trailhead. So it did cost me $20. Officials say it's a management tactic for garbage removal, cleaning the bathrooms, and protecting this pristine area. I'm your Idaho Backroads neighborhood reporter, Steve Dent, for Idaho News 6.
6:26, thanks for joining us this morning on Good Morning Idaho. Happy Friday, everyone. We've got much more in store for you. Here's a look at what's still to come from your neighborhood reporters.
At Orbrandt Park, pickleball courts placed strategically helps keep the volume down.
At Boise State, I have more from the Blue Turf on how they manage this iconic field ahead of the home opener football game where they're facing off against the Red Turf, Eastern Washington University.
Connecting neighborhoods across the Treasure and Magic Valleys, telling stories from within our communities. This is Good Morning Idaho.
Welcome back to Good Morning Idaho on this Friday, everybody. I'm senior reporter Roland Barris, live this morning at Albertson Stadium ahead of the Broncos home opener against Eastern Washington. It's good to have you along with us this morning, everyone. I'm going to have all the things that you need to know if you're coming to tonight's game coming up. Also, a lot more from our large team of neighborhood reporters for you this morning. Like a story new this morning, our Boise State neighborhood reporter Allie Tripke shows us one unique aspect of tonight's matchup, with both teams' home fields being among a select few universities that color their turf. Plus, continuing our Boise State coverage, our Isaiah Sharp highlighting the university's esports program, which their head coach describes as the best in the nation. More on all of that still to come, but first let's bring in our Sophia Cruz with the latest on our weather. If you like smoke, oh boy, today's for you. I don't know who likes smoke.
Yeah, I don't know who likes smoke either. I will say, as you get ready for your morning with us, thanks for starting another day. It's Friday, TGIF. We've made it to our weekend. And as we do so, if you are heading out to the game today, 8 a.m., mid-60s by the time we head into lunchtime, lower 80s. It's going to be hot and hazy throughout the day, so prepare for the heat as well as those hazy skies to follow. Now, if you're heading out to the game, by the time we head into kickoff, upper 80s, then lower 80s into halftime. As you head into 11 o'clock tonight, maybe you're heading into downtown, it'll be a lot cooler with the mid-70s. So hot and hazy for game day, Roland.
Hang on. All right, thanks, Sophia. Appreciate it. We turn now to an issue that's making waves around the Treasure Valley, pickleball noise. Earlier this week, our Sahana Patel brought you the lawsuit brought in Boise, and this morning, our Keith Burrell highlights solutions that city leaders in Nampa and Meridian have found to manage the issue.
A Boise-based lawsuit citing noise complaints prompted the closure of 2 popular pickleball courts this week. Here in Nampa, that's not as much of a problem. I'm your Nampa neighborhood reporter Keith Burrell, learning from surrounding cities how deciding where to put the pickleball courts is the key to keeping it quiet.
We've been by in the morning time when all 6 courts are full and playing, and I know that noise is being generated, and we haven't had any complaints from the neighbors, which is good.
City leaders in Nampa and Meridian tell me it's been smooth sailing after adding pickleball courts to popular parks. 4 of Meridian's 24 parks have open pickleball courts, each one strategically located, built, and landscaped to minimize this sound from reaching neighbors. Nampa's Parks and Rec Director Cody Swander calls these the Cadillac of courts, part of the 3rd phase at Orbrandt Park. But before crews even moved dirt, neighbors voiced concerns.
We were able to actually push the pickleball courts closer to Cherry Lane.
The city of Nampa also installed berms between the courts and nearby homes to help stop the sound from reaching neighbors. In Boise, city leaders tell me there are no guidelines for where new pickleball courts will be installed, but they are being developed because the desire for more courts is there for Boiseans.
Our group is growing because they're running out of places to play. If we had more courts, it would be better for everybody. As you can see right here, this court's not even striped for pickleball. So we're overcrowded on the remaining one here. It's just showing you.
Nampa currently has no plans to add any new parks, and Parks and Rec leaders tell me that they strive to offer the amenities that the public wants to use, but they're also cautious about investing in expensive courts for a sport that could lose popularity. From Orbrandt Park, I'm your Nampa neighborhood reporter Keith Burrell for Idaho News 6.
It is 6:32. Let's take a look now at what's happening today in your neighborhood. Later tonight, the Boise State Broncos, of course, host Eastern Washington for their home opener. Right on, the Broncos hoping to bounce back after a tough loss last week to USF. And all eyes will be on veteran quarterback Maddox Madsen to see if he can command his offense to victory, as well as the Bronco defense, which gave up 34 points last week. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. The game will be streaming on Fox Sports. Art in the Park kicks off this morning at Julia Davis. It is a free open-air festival featuring more than 240 artists and vendors. They'll be showing and selling off their work. The event starts at 10 a.m. and it runs all the way through Sunday. Also, the Nampa Music Fest back again this evening for a second year. The festival features the best local artists from around the Treasure Valley at Lloyd Square. There's going to be food trucks and vendors along with the great live music. It's all going down tonight from 5 to 10 p.m.
For the first time this football season, fans are heading back to Albertson Stadium to watch their Broncos play on this iconic blue turf. And they're facing off against Eastern Washington, another school here in the Northwest that boasts a colorful turf. I'm Boise State neighborhood reporter Ali Tripke speaking with both schools on how they manage their colorful fields.
After another winning season in the blue, Boise State's award-winning turf has freshened up for the fall with some orange paint in the end zones.
How much had you heard about the end zones are yellow, you need to paint them or change them? A lot?
I don't think we heard too many complaints. Now that you see it, it's like, wow, that's a lot different.
And bigger changes are coming for the 2026 season as Boise State plans to completely replace the Smurf turf.
Next year, we've got a new conference. That means new conference logos. We've got the north end zone construction going on right now. So we decided to try and stretch our field just another year.
Meanwhile, up north, the Eastern Washington Eagles are prepping for Friday's matchup on their own splash of color, the fiery red turf they call the Inferno.
We like it because it obviously matches our colors and gives us a unique, iconic name. Our field is called the Inferno for a reason. Every football player who's ever played on a turf field knows that it's hotter than a grass field.
Dave Early gave me a virtual tour of the red turf he manages at Eastern Washington.
Well, a fun fact is that this field is sewn together. This white piece and black outline was patched in. We have to periodically go in and re-glue these down and make sure that they don't, become a hazard out here.
Back on the blue, Boise State crews echo the work it takes to keep the turf in top shape for the thousands of visitors it sees each year.
We have to come out here and basically vacuum it with a big concourse sweeper. We have to brush it, get the fibers to stand up. I think that would be something that's surprising for people, the amount of hours that we spend out here on this field.
Here at Boise State, I'm neighborhood reporter Ali Tripke for Idaho News 6. ABC is your destination for the biggest NFL games. Join us on Monday nights for Monday Night Football. This week's matchup you won't want to miss as the Chicago Bears host the Minnesota Vikings. That's Monday night with coverage starting at 6 p.m. right here on ABC.
13 Mountain West titles and 6 national championships. I'm Isaiah Sharp in downtown Boise at BSU's Esports Media Day, talking with players and coaches about year 9 of the program and what has led to the dominance and rapid climb in the esports collegiate world.
We consider ourselves the top esports program in the nation. There's others that would put us in the top 5, but they're all wrong.
Confidence, culture, and consistency. 3 C's that have made the Broncos a powerhouse.
My whole life is consistent, everything I do, and it's really nice to have a good support system around me. My coaches are incredible, my teammates always support me.
Boise State's esports program hasn't reached double digits in age, but already has 19 plus titles and counting to stand by. They also have individual titles like Esports Player of the Year Emiliano Flores, also known as Durtho in Rocket League. He says the competition isn't getting any easier.
There's just a lot of pro play now in collegiate Rocket League, where it's just the top players are all pros. So you just got to play like a pro if you want to play in collegiate nowadays.
Head coach Chris Haskell reiterating that the biggest opponent isn't at another school, but in the mirror.
There's some really good programs out there, really good teams. We'll have some challenges. I think I'm most excited to see what this group of students can do.
Boise State's esports 9th season starts in just a couple of weeks, and a majority of their matches are streamed on Twitch. I'll have a link to that Twitch stream in this story on IdahoNews6.com. I'm Isaiah Sharp for Idaho News 6.
On the Boise bench, a local bakery is fermenting a fresh approach to baked goods that are made in Idaho. This bakery is serving up the sourdough. I'm your Boise Bench neighborhood reporter, Sahana Patel, and on this week's Made in Idaho, I stepped inside the kitchen at Pure Bliss Baking to see what's rising inside. After Shanna Lemke's favorite sourdough shop closed, she took matters into her own hands.
You can see those bubbles popping.
The baker started selling gluten-friendly cookies and loaves of long-fermented sourdough at farmers markets.
I knew that those words meant that me, somebody who's gluten intolerant, I could eat that bread and it wouldn't affect me. It wouldn't hurt my gut or my skin.
After working out of her garage for months, Lemke opened Pure Bliss Baking on the Boise bench in April 2024. And as her business grew, so did her crew. But that doesn't even count the bakers.
These bacteria and yeast come from the flour itself. They come from the environment, and it has to be treated like a member of the crew or a part of the family. So it's fed every night and first thing in the morning.
Lemke tells me the long fermentation process takes time.
And this is our ferment log to tell us what the product is.
Which is why they're only open 3 days a week. Once the starter is ready, they shape the loaves and mix in other ingredients. But the Boise Bench Bakery is serving up more than sourdough.
We've got a creative crew out there that's constantly coming up with new ideas. We also have cookies, we have cupcakes, cinnamon rolls. Right now we're doing lemon rolls, huckleberry rolls, apple pie rolls.
The bakery is open to customers Thursday through Saturday. I'm your Boise Bench neighborhood reporter, Sahana Patel, for Idaho News 6.
Shout out to our Broncos. Our neighborhood of the day today is Boise State. Upper 80s as we head into kickoff tonight. I'll be showing you what you can expect for the rest of the weekend coming up.
Welcome back to Good Morning Idaho on a Friday, everyone. I'm live this morning at Albertson Stadium, where later tonight the Boise State Broncos host that team with that big truck, Eastern Washington, for their home opener. This is a non-conference opponent, of course, but the Broncos really need to make a statement in this game after a tough loss last week to USF on the road that dropped them out of the top 25. A couple of reminders, too, if you're coming to the game tonight, parking and traffic, it's going to be a bit tough because Boise Pride is is going on this weekend, and also Art in the Park, and they also are taking a lot of parking, so you'll want to plan ahead or consider taking the game day shuttle from locations across downtown. Also, the 10 to 10 zone, that's back, meaning you can drink alcohol in a large designated area around the stadium, but only in that area from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Beverages must be in opaque plastic cups, by the way. And all concessions in the stadium are now card only. Be prepared for that. You can trade cash for a card at special reverse ATMs on site if you want to do that. Entry 1, by the way, we should mention, is closed right now for construction. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. and the game will be streaming on Fox Sports. We should mention that they're getting ready for all of the tailgating here in the parking lot, and you know that they're making progress when all of the porta potties come in, Sophia. There are hundreds of them just came through.
Yeah, I'm sure the college students and all the tailgaters are going to be really happy to hear that one, especially if you can tailgate from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. But either way, however you want to spend your Friday, maybe you're heading out to the game or you have to head into work first. Your commuter forecast and also your Friday morning jam, Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus. The song's just been stuck in my head. But as you head into work today, mid-60s on the way home, lower 90s. We'll see some heat and haze this afternoon, but highs, they stop at those mid-90s. So about 93 as you stretch into Mountain Home, 94 in Glens Ferry with lower 80s to follow in our mountains. So it'll be a pretty quiet day ahead, but if you are in Eastern Oregon, just a heads up, late afternoon and evening showers will move through. Pretty scattered from Rome up to Burns. Not really much happening across our neck of the woods till tomorrow. So this goes into Saturday around 5 o'clock. You'll see that Eastern Oregon, our east and west central mountains down into the Magic Valley, looks at some late showers move in. We could see a few late evening showers move through the Treasure Valley around 11 o'clock on Saturday, but by Sunday it's pretty quiet out there and there's barely any changes. You head onto that map. Just a heads up though, we do have a red flag warning in place. Now it's not across anywhere in Idaho, but it is as you make your way into Eastern Oregon from Baker City, LeGrand down into Burns. They're looking at critical wildfire conditions with those systems moving through. So some of those stronger storms could bring on some wind gusts upwards towards 40 miles per hour. That combined with the dry conditions makes for that red flag warning there. As far as what our future smoke looks like, let's talk about this because you'll notice that it's pretty heavy across those east and west central mountains. By 1 o'clock, it continues to move over the Treasure Valley, and then as you make your way into the late evening, all of that heavier, denser smoke will be on the Treasure Valley. So just a heads up, it is going to build in throughout the day, but by Saturday morning, it gets a little bit better. Here's where our air quality is though. So you'll notice that all of this area shaded in yellow, that's all moderate. We're going to continue to watch to see if it starts to go into that orange category where it starts to grow unhealthy, and really if it does get to that point, we'll talk more about what you need to do, but otherwise it's still okay to be outside. You've got Saturday, Sunday, upper 80s, so going to be a pretty comfortable weekend ahead. By Tuesday, mid 70s, and then move the page over to next Wednesday and Thursday, lower 70s continue on, and we'll see some rain chances move in. So the first taste of fall is just right around the corner, but what also is around the corner is your morning commute. Let's take a look at your roads now.
The Idaho News 6 traffic report is brought to you by Champion Windows.
Okay, it is 6:50 and look at all of that smoke sitting over us. That sun is going to start to come up and you'll notice it a bit more then, but even right now, those aren't clouds. It's all the smoke really just sitting and lingering. You've got I-84 off of Keenan Meridian. You can't really see too much from this eastbound lane, but you'll notice, or that westbound lane, but you'll notice the eastbound lane looks pretty heavy this morning. It's just black and white camera, but you can tell. As far as West Chinden Boulevard goes, still looking pretty quiet out there. Haven't seen too much change or really much happen this morning just yet. You've got just under 12 minutes from Chinden Boulevard to US 20.
In this morning's GMA First Look, we're at the Eagles opening game with Kylie Kelsey.
It's incredible to be able to lend your time and also to donate to an organization that you know that every single dollar is going directly back into the community.
Kylie's work with the Eagles Autism Foundation has made her a mainstay at Lincoln Financial Field. And this morning on GMA, she's spreading autism awareness while also sharing her excitement for her newly engaged brother-in-law.
We're so excited. The girls are thrilled. They're so excited they're getting another aunt, and we could not be more excited for them and what the future holds. We love, and we love Taylor and Trav.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have much more with Kylie Kelsey and how the Eagles Autism Foundation made one fan's dream come true with an incredible surprise you don't want to miss. With your GMA First Look, I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
Idaho News 6 Allergy Report is brought to you by Boise Valley Asthma and Allergy Clinic.
All right, your allergy count, we have sage being the highest out of all of them. Ketopod and ragweed both in the low category, but if sage is that special allergy for you, just heads up on that front. I'll keep you up to date as we go through our morning together.
And then roll in all of that with the smoke, and you've got an interesting day for breathing, everyone. Welcome back to Good Morning Idaho. We are just wrapping up here, and in case you missed it, these are the top stories that we're following from our neighborhood reporters.
At Boise State, I have more from the blue turf on how they manage this iconic field ahead of the home opener football game where they're facing off against the red turf, Eastern Washington University.
After another winning season on the blue, Boise State's award-winning turf has freshened up for the fall with some orange paint in the end zones.
In Eagle, part of a long-planned shooting sports project is open, and another range wants city money to make their plan a reality. Part of the city's shooting sports park off Willow Creek Road is already open to the public, free to use each day. But city leaders are now reviewing community feedback on whether to give $250,000 to a separate private range off Highway 55.
In Mountain Home, preparations underway to pull off the 65th annual Air Force Appreciation Day.
The main event, Idaho's longest parade, kicks off Saturday morning at 10:30 with more than 100 entries at Carl Miller Park. Directly after, there will be a special flyover. On the ground, neighbors can enjoy vendors and a free barbecue serving up thousands of meals starting at noon.
And of course, you can learn more about all these stories on our website. Just head to idahonews6.com.
Now, the Out the Door forecast, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors.
Okay, well, TGIF to you, it is 6:56, and as you get ready to start your day, it is going to be very hazy and hot. By 9 a.m., we'll be touching into the 70s, heading into the later afternoon, lower 90s. Not as hot as what we saw at the start of the week, but still a toasty and hazy day ahead. If you want to read more about what's expected in the week ahead, and there's a taste of fall, you can head on over to idahonews6.com. Right now, we are going to take you for your morning commute.
The Idaho News 6 traffic report is brought to you by Champion Windows.
All right, it is 6:57 now, and I'm giving you a look at I-84 Broadway Avenue. You can see the roads are pretty quiet, but even telling off from the camera in the distance, that smoke is just kind of hanging overhead. So heads up again, it is going to be hazy in case you missed it. But Caldwell to downtown Boise, just under 37 minutes if you're heading into that eastbound lane. So it is starting to pick up a bit out there. So heads up if you are traveling and making your way out of Caldwell. Moving a little bit closer to Washington Boulevard and into Eagle, it's all pretty quiet out here. So I haven't noticed too much change just yet. But rolling, it's game day. We know the roads are going to be pretty busy downtown.
Yeah, no question about it. You got Pride going on this weekend. You also have Art in the Park going on. Yeah. So there's going to be a ton of people down here. I always judge the smoke, by the way, Sophia, by looking up at the foothills. And from town, it's a whole different kind of thing. I can barely see the foothills this morning. Yeah, it is a very hazy day. It's all the way our wind is just coming right now. So it's like having a big fan and just blowing all the smoke towards you. So, but still going to be good. The game will still be good. Yeah, no question about that. So, right? Yeah. No question. I mean, it's going to be a nice day. There's no question about that. It's going to feel like a bad day in Los Angeles in terms of air quality probably, but it'll be sunny, it'll be nice, and we'll have football, so that makes it all better, right? Don't forget, the game starts tonight at 7 o'clock. Have yourself a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you next week.